This is a Magic the Gathering card that you are not playing in your commander deck, but it is sure to deliver some Freaky Friday night magic. This is a card called Exchange of Words, and when it hits the table, your opponents will be speechless. For 1 blue, it's an enchantment. When Exchange of Words enters the battlefield, choose 2 target creatures. For as long as Exchange of Words remains on the battlefield, exchange the text boxes of those creatures. So what this means is that each creature loses its rules text and gains the rules text of the other. We know from cards like Darksteel Mutation that it can often be preferable to mitigate the text of an opponent's commander rather than kill or exile them because they can go back to the command zone, which they can just cast again. In that vein, Exchange of Words can actually neuter 2 of your opponent's commanders in one shot. For example, if one of your opponents is playing as Atraxa, Praetor's Voice, they are likely playing with a bunch of cards that depend on Atraxa's ability to add more counters. And another one of your opponents is playing as Krenko, Mob Boss, where their deck is likely going to have a bunch of goblins in it to make it work. So by swapping the rules text of those 2 creatures, you're really going to put both of them in a bind. One of the cool things about this card is if just one of those creatures happens to leave the battlefield, it will not affect the other one. It still has that swapped rules text. This makes it a great card for commanders like Zur the Enchanter that can play it out of your library, Brago, King Eternal, that can flicker the enchantment if you find you have some better targets later on, or the new Heliod, Radiant Dawn, where on the front side it can get the enchantment back from the graveyard if it's destroyed, or on the back side, as the Warped Eclipse, it can give the enchantment flash. The card was printed fairly recently in the Unfinity set, which is rather underrated, and yes, is legal for Commander despite being printed in an unset. The card's super cheap. You can grab it for around 50 cents. That's a real bargain. And that is exactly why